Hey, what's up, gamers? Skelemystyk. Welcome back to part 2 of the secrets of good deck building. In the last video of this series, we talked about a few of the school cards that you'll want to be sure that you pick up for training points from the other schools. This time, I'm going to talk about a few of the other side cards to have in your deck that aren't necessarily your school, but will be vital to your gameplay. I'm also going to talk about a few techniques and tricks that I personally use that not a lot of people, other people use to make this go a little bit quicker, easier. So let me go ahead now and cut into that video and we will get started on it. I would say vital side cards that you need. Later on, you'll be getting into the Star and the Astral Spells. I just call Astral Spells. The Star and Moon and Sun spells, like in Celestials, where this will come into play, start coming into play. Where you can get Epic, which is a huge, huge boost. You can get Colossal. You can get Gargantuan, and all those things. That's all well and good. And those are great for later on play. Should you get them? To me, honestly, that is entirely a matter of opinion. A lot of people say, Skell, you're crazy. Man, I couldn't live without Epic. I couldn't live without Colossal. I couldn't live without Gargantuan. Well, you did for the first 50 levels. Or well, for the first however many levels before you got to, before you got to Celestia. So you did, you can. And I will not deny that these are good cards to have. But this is where a lot of people differ from me, and this is where I do something differently than a lot of people do. And here it is. This is what I do. Because I'm already past that Dragonspire Celestia cusp, and I already have all these cards as natural cards in my inventory to use when I go to my treasure cards. Now, here, that's another fun point to note. You can't get Epic and Colossal and the biggest damage boost cards. You can't get them as vendor bought treasure cards. In other words, you can't go to a vendor and pick up as many as you want. You can't. You can get them as drops sometimes, but believe it, guys, they do not drop all that often. Anything good in this game does not drop all that often. So, what I do in Celestia, that's the first place you can do it, I go to the Archivist and I get Gargantuans. I get a lot of Gargantuans. And that is the only thing that I put in my treasure card deck. Just like that. Why is that, Scale? Well, let me tell you why that is. I'm in a battle here. Bang. Okay, the boss has 2,000 health. And if I hit him with a Stormlord that has a boost on it, I can win. Right then, right there. Here's the problem. I've got ye Mr. Stormlord ready to go. No problem, no worries. He's in my deck. But all these epics that I've been counting on, all these colossals that I've been counting on, are nowhere to be seen. Because the random number generator in this game, the random number generator in this game is not random. I don't know if you ever noticed, but it seems like it either gives you all attacks or all blades and boosts, but whatever the case, doesn't give you what you need when you need it in those vital moments when a boss is about to stomp you flat, and you just need one more good kick in the nards to bring him down. You just can't get this card. You can't get the boost when you want it. You're like, oh, come on, please. Oh, it needs a boost. Oh, no boost. Dead. So, I made it a habit to put boosts in my treasure card deck. This way, whenever I go into a battle and Mr. Harry Scary there has got 2,000 life left, and I have just enough to get him with a Stormlord or whatever. I'm just using Stormlord as the example. I have just enough left to get him with a Stormlord if that Stormlord has something of a boost on it. And I have no natural boost inside. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll have Epics and Colossals in my deck sometimes. Epics mostly in my deck. I'll have a few in there if I'm, just for giggles. But if they don't show, you can go, whoop, discard one of the cards you don't want out of your hand, go to your treasure cards, because it'll automatically pull up one of your Gargantuans, because Gargantuan is like the biggest vendor card you can buy as far as boosts go. And bam! Boost up that Stormlord. And bam, bam! Hit Mr. Smarmy in his head and knock him down and win the fight and be done. So yes, that is what I have in my PvE treasure card deck. I always have a stack of Gargantuans. And people are like, Skell, why are you using Gargantuan? You could be using Epic. Yeah, I could be using Epic if it comes up in my deck whenever I need it to. But as you all know, things don't come up in your deck a lot of times when you need it to. This way you know for a fact you'll have a boost to add to your attack, to add to your hit, to put Mr. Smarmy down. You know you will. No problem, no fuss, no muss. So that's why, of all the things I keep in my treasure card deck, it's going to be boosts. Another thing I hear a lot about whenever I'm streaming or doing a YouTube video or what have you, I'll have, let's see. Yeah, okay, there's a prime example. I'll have lightning bats in my deck. And people are like, Skell, you're level 120. You're level 127. What are you doing? That's stupid. Why do you have lightning bats in your deck? Why? Because the same principles that apply when you were a low level apply whenever you're a high level, just with bigger numbers. I promise you that at one time or another, you're going to have a mob that has 3,000 life or 2,000 life or 4,000 or whatever, however many life. You're going to have just a couple of thousand life. But you've also got two more mobs next to him that you got to take care of, and you don't have a multi-hit card. And you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, let me tell you what you're going to do, just like I do. Okay? This doesn't just apply again to the Storm character. This will apply to Death. This will apply to Balance. Every character has the same general pip counting cards in their deck. Balance will have a 2-pip spell. Death has a 2-pip spell. And you know what I'm saying? They all have the same number of pip spells. Okay. Skell, why do you have stupid lightning bats in your deck? They only do 285. They're a waste of time. Why are you wasting pips like that? Well, let me tell you why. And again, using Storm for my example. This inconspicuous little lightning bats here for 2 pips, by itself, it's nothing. Sure, I'll be the first to admit it. However, whenever you add my attack bonuses in there, whenever I slap on one of these ye old Gargantuan cards onto it, and I apply the love liberally to some boss or mob, this little lightning bat right here that you wouldn't suspect does 2,500 damage for 2 pips. 2,500. And then, after telling me these lightning bats are no good, you're like, holy moly, that was goodness gracious, that was a good hit. And that's why. Vampires, whenever I play my Death character, vampires the same way. I've had people rag me more times than one. Skell, you're a high level. Why you got vampire cards in your deck? That's dumb. Because that vampire will do 2,000 damage, collect me 1,000 heal back, just for a couple of pips, and slam bam, thank you man, we done with this fight. That's why. Do not discount the importance of small pip cards. Just a couple. I'm not saying to fill your deck with vampires or bats or anything. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying that a couple of those little bad boys tucked up there in the corner, maybe right there in the end of your pocket, won't hurt. They will not hurt a thing. All right. So that's going to cover my rant. Pretty much. It kind of did get into a rant, didn't it? About the lower level pip cards in your deck. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and construct a deck. Let's say that what level is this guy? I think level 120, 125. Okay. This guy's level 125. Let's show you what I would put in this Storm deck. Strip it back down to nothing. I'm not even concerned about the whole wand spell thing. We'll worry about that later. Alright, so I'm one of those people who does not use Tempest simply because Tempest will use all of your pips, and you never know. I like to have a better control over the pips that I use, the amount of pips that I use. And Tempest can be a good card, but I personally don't use it because it uses up X pips, which is all of your pips. I just don't like that. Okay, so whenever I construct my deck, I've got a couple of blades already. Gear. These are gear blades. These from gear. So I have them there. Cool. I got a couple more other blades, my normal deck blades. And you do want to, whenever you're fighting the bigger bosses, stack a couple blades in as much as possible. I don't really, again, except for feint, I don't really use traps, simply because, in the instance of this elemental trap, I'm not a balance, so it costs me a pip or a power pip if I happen to not have a white pip on me. And all it does is 25 to one target for one turn. Sure, that's good if you already got a bunch of them stacked on. Say you're fighting I don't know, any boss. Say you're fighting a boss, and it's cool if you have them stacked on there. But not only does it cost you a pip, but it costs you a turn that the boss is doing something else to you. And I don't find that the reward for the risk is worth it. I don't personally use traps. I use blades because they hit all. That's the boss and all the henchmen. But a trap, you've got to put it on each boss and each henchman to make it work, and I don't go for that. I don't. It takes too many turns, and it does too little damage return for what you get out of it. So I personally don't, even though I have all the traps in my, in my roster of cards, I don't use traps. You don't really see me use traps very often. I honestly, at lower levels, also think it's a real detriment to use traps because there again, you have less life to work with, less chance of living if the boss comes up with a good hit or two. And yeah, I don't go for traps myself. That is entirely up to you. By all means, do that if you want to do it, but I don't. So I found a couple of blades. I got a couple blades here, a couple blades here, a couple blades here. Now I will throw in the sharpened blade. I'll throw in a couple of them, just a couple, because that way I can apply. Oops. That way I can apply it to this blade and boost it, or this blade and boost it, and those stack. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have 5 different blades, even though I've only got 3 different blade types. So those I do put in. Also, I put them in because number 1, they cost you no pips, and number 2, they don't use up an extra turn for giving you the damage. So they are on the positive damage side, unlike traps. Sometimes I'll put epics in here. I'll put a couple, 3 in, or I'll have some in. Especially up in the higher levels, I'll put them in there. And if I get one great, let's see, let's just put my 6 in there, my 7 in there. That's 6, there we go. Put my 6 in there. Now, I can use these if they come up at the right time, or more importantly, I can discard them whenever I have them in my combat deck in action. At the end of this, I'm gonna do a battle, just any kind of like with the hags or something, and show you what I'm talking about. Sometimes I don't need that boost, so what I can do is discard it and pull up something, pull up something out of my treasure card deck, or clear out a bunch. Say I get like all blades the first turn. Okay, I can discard a couple of these if they came up with it, with the blades. And next turn, I know I'll have 2 extra fresh draws out of my deck. You'll see what I'm talking about as I play this. All right, so we've got that. I'll throw in a couple of Tower of Shields, although in this area I probably won't use them as much. I'll throw in a couple of feints. There again, I will use Potent Trap with my feint. So now I can have a 70% feint and an 80% feint. Again, stackable, so beautiful. That's the whole point of it, and that's what makes that work. All right, back here. I never really use, as far as low pip hit cards, I never really use Thunder Snake because of the whole 1 pip thing, where it's going to burn a power pip anyway. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then I don't really... Some storms do, but I don't really use the healing current very often that put heals in. I rely on getting the damage done quick and sharp and ready to go. Okay, now I passed by mostly all of these. They're mid-pip spell cards, but I find that for just one more pip, the damage increase is a lot better. Okay, so I'll use a couple of these, simply because not only do they hit all but stun. I don't really use King Artorias. I'll use the bugs, because bugs, honestly, bugs is a storm mainstay. That's probably the best storm card for attack that ever came out. Probably. I'll put an Iron Sultan in there, simply because it's a 4-pipper that can do multiple target damage if you have some low mobs going on. And I'll put a Rusalka in there. This is about what my deck will look like. Just what I need to finish this up. Oh, let me put my reshuffles in there. Just what I need to finish up this fight, and nothing that I don't. I don't fill up my thing with cards for stuff that may happen or may not happen, or else, you know what? Stuff's going to happen whether you have a full deck or whether you have half of a deck. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you guys can do it. I'm not playing with a full deck. I'm aware. I'm aware. Believe it or not, I've heard that joke before, oddly enough, about this deck setup. Alright, so this is what I've got. Minimalist cards for right now. I'm really not using much of anything else. Yeah, I don't use that. That's useless past level 20 or 30, I'd say. Because the heal, I mean, they do hits that are way, way, way bigger than that. It just doesn't help out. Alright, so let's go ahead and... Well, I think I'll go over there. Let me get a mount on here, and I'll go over like these sandwiches or something like that. Let's run over there real quick. And I'll do a quick battle with this. And yeah, I'm 125, which is higher than this zone. But again, I'm just showing you things here to represent what's going on. If I remember, the sandwiches are like up over this hill. By the weird, oh, there's actually somebody playing here. That's cool. That's like the first person I've seen since I did this whole video. Oh, 2 people. Woo. Alright, come on here by the sandwiches who are supposed to be here. There they are. And we'll do a quick hit again. We'll do a quick battle against these guys, and you'll see what I mean. I didn't get 2. I got 1, which is kind of good. See what I mean? I got all my boosts. I can get rid of my extra reshuffle. Tag that on right away. Get rid of that because I know I have some extras. And put that on there and be ready to go. He's going to mana burn me right off the bat, but it's okay because I've already got my spell off. And I didn't have a Shadow Pip. If I'd had a Shadow Pip right there, I probably would have bugged her. If I had a Shadow Pip and a bug, I probably would have hit her with a bug just to use it up. Okay, I'll go ahead and put that on there. Go ahead and put that on there. That on there. Put on this blade. And what I'm also doing in this battle is I'm giving myself several different options for what to do. You know, should I hit this way? Should I hit both of them? Whatever else. I'm setting up various options here to make this work. See, I still didn't get a Shadow Pip, and I would have waited if I got a Shadow Pip to use a Glow Bug, but I didn't get it. 3100 with a blade and a fate might very well get this sandwich out of here right quick. We'll have to see what we get. It either will or it won't, but I think it'll do pretty good. Even if they do stuff like that. 13. Oh, a nice big hit. Ooh. Now here's that 2-pip spell in action. Two pips. That's why I have those little cards in there. Okay, now I'm reduced to 1-on-1. I've got more life than she's got, and shields, and plenty of cards, and no worries. Again, this is just an example battle, but pretty much the same way, pretty much. Unless you're on one of those cheating bosses, and then you need a lot more than you already had anyway. Okay. Now I don't think, well, maybe Glow Bugs will do it. See now, bam! I needed a boost card. Bam! I had a boost card right when I needed one to do the work. Right now. I don't know that it'll kill her, but it might. Ooh, she slobbered on. Ew. That's nasty. And this will probably finish her and make this for my point pretty much. There's a crit. Actually blocked it nice. Yep, it did kill it. There we are. And see, there you have it. There's 2 opponents down. Not a ton of turns, but without too much trouble either. And on just a few cards. You really don't have to fill up your card deck to capacity to cover every situation. You really don't. Now, if I'd been worried about these sandwiches here, I've got those lovely little tower shields in there to slow that down, just like I put in there in the middle. Alright guys, that is going to be it for the deck building video. I hope this helped you out, maybe answer some questions you had. If you have some more, by all means, hit me up. Feel free to... Scal, I need some help here in the comments. By all means. I'll help you out. If there's anything else that you would like to see so far as videos, by all means, leave a comment about that too. I'd love to hear it. So, until next time, this is Skelemystyk reminding you that whatever else you do, always love the game. Peace. Hey, what's up, Gamers? Skelemystyk. I know, I may be just a little bit late, but thanks to the wonderful donation of a lovely, lovely friend, I have acquired at last the new Aeroplanes bundle. I want to unpack this